Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there and welcome to Tuesday, even though part of me, of course, is going to think it's Monday and I'm going to be off all week in terms of what day it is. Thanks for giving me a 3-day weekend. Not that you did. And it's good to be back in Pittsburgh. It's Tuesday. It's June 26th. And my sister Susan is home in St. Louis. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
How are you?
You're home in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and glad to be. Enough already. I'm not much of a traveler. I've had it. You know, I don't know. I've had it. I don't know what to... we've got to talk about the Supreme Court, but I don't want to jump right into that because it's just so... you know...
Yeah.
I think. So I'd rather just do a few quick little Chicago things, and then we'll get to that. So Susan was not there, but Susan's daughter lives there, and my brother's daughter, and they wanted to go to the Gay Pride Parade on Sunday. So we went. So,
getting old, are we?
Yeah. First of all, I don't like big crowds. I don't like, thousands of people in the street. And it was a hot day, and so it was thousands of sweaty and half-naked people in the street. So when you bumped into somebody, you were bumping into, like, wet flesh.
Yeah, unpleasant. No,
it was not pleasant. And here's my sense. I mean, it was a huge parade. Went on for like 4 hours. We didn't last long. Even your daughter said, okay, been there, done that, out. But so I got the impression that gay pride parades are so mainstream now that I'm not sure that even the majority of people there were gay. As a matter of fact.
Oh, no, it's just a happening. But the majority of the people there probably aren't.
No. Here's what my guess is. It is, yes, just another happening, just another, for a lot of people, an excuse to get drunk in the middle of the day. We saw more people. I mean, it was like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, more people stumbling drunk. Ambulances were coming by every 5 seconds. People, I mean, it's just young people not having any judgment at all. I had the impression that most...
That's redundant.
Okay, you're right. I had the impression that most of the nudity which I saw, of which there was quite a bit, was being done by, obviously, exhibitionistic people. My sense was mostly it was gay males and heterosexual females. And a lot of these girls were parading around in thongs, and that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. And it was, the ones that were doing it generally had beautiful little young bodies, and they were just walking around to the delight of, I suppose, the heterosexual males and some of the lesbians there, which I guess was the point. But you couldn't get anywhere near really the parade. And then whenever you did, the parade just looked like a bunch of people walking around with colored balloons on their head and throwing cheap beads at people.
They weren't arresting these virtually naked women?
Weren't who what? Arresting?
Yeah, I mean,
why would they
in
arrest
plenty
them?
of places in this country that would be indecent exposure and they'd be arrested.
Well, I think cops are smart enough to know that they're totally outnumbered and you want to have a riot because you're going to take in a girl who's got her boobs exposed. I saw these girls walk right by the cops that were trying to keep traffic going. I think they have priorities, and one of them is not to cause a riot of drunken young people. Wouldn't you make that calculation?
I'm sure, but I'm just getting grumpy hearing about it. I am.
You are? Well, I mean, I'm sure, I want to say that I'm sure there, for some people, this is still a very big show of actual political power and saying we are here and we're we're
the fact
here
that
and
it
we're
has
queer
become mainstream
that's
is
right.
the statement itself.
Exactly right. But my sense on the edges, and I got as close as 5 sweaty bodies from the parade route, but my sense is that, you know, like so many things in this country, it has been co-opted. It's mainstream. It's just another day for people to, in many cases, overindulge and maybe, I guess, have fun, if I'm not going to be grumpy, and some of them to not know when to stop. But good God. I mean, and you couldn't even get on the L. You couldn't get, I mean, and again, you want to get into sweaty bodies. It was really something. But so that's what I happened to be doing Sunday afternoon. And it was hot. So it was not fun, but gay pride. And there is a political element there. There were a lot of people walking around with stickers that said LGBT, blue for Obama. So the Obama people were out in force. And labor seemed to be very, so it was one got the sense in some respects of this was an opportunity for Democrats to maybe wrangle some of these younger people back into the fold and get them to the polls. So that was an opportunity as well. So, Susan, why are you grumpy?
Why am I grumpy? I'm not.
You're not?
You were painting such a perfect picture that I was unhappy by the whole event myself.
Well, you should have. I thought you would have instead been happy by not having had to be subjected to it yourself.
Nah, because I'm
grumpy.
Wish I had been with you all.
What? Oh, you wish you'd been with us. Okay, so I have to tell people that I went, Susan wasn't able to go, but I went, and my brother and sister-in-law were there, and my mother was there. We went because my brother's oldest daughter was appearing at Second City on stage, and we went to see her, and that was a lot of fun. And my audience will be very happy to know that I got to take part a little bit. Because it's improv, they were doing this medical kind of skit, these guys playing 2 researchers, and they asked if anyone in the audience had a subject that they should opine about. And my hand shot right up, and they pointed at me, and I shouted out, "Fecal transplants!" Suze, we were talking about fecal transplants.
I remember our fecal transplant conversation.
Were you there? Were you on that day? So I screamed out fecal transplants, and which I thought was great. I thought it was like a lob. I mean, come on. Second City Improv, fecal transplants? Give me a break. How easy is that? So they looked stunned. And the guy said, "Fecal transplants? What's that? You mean transplanting poo?" And I said, "Well, yeah, sort of. What it is they take good poo from people who have it, and stick it in people who have poo with deficiencies, and then blah, blah, blah." So I told them what it was. And then they...
Did the audience enjoy that?
Yes, the audience enjoyed it, and then they started singing a song about fecal transplants.
Thus informed, they carried on merrily.
Yes, they did. And because they were using the word poo, that's really easy because that rhymes with so many things.
Like you.
Exactly. And since transplants have to do with me and you, then you can just see how easy it is to sort of manage. But it is fascinating. I was asking Bess, the niece who was in Second City, how do you manage to, because you got to do it immediately and you start to sing, but how do you know where you're ending up? You don't have time. And she talked about how you actually, you train yourself to do, I forgot even what she said, but it's very dangerous to do. I mean, obviously sometimes you get stuck, but wow.
Was she one of the singers in this one?
She was not in that, no. There were just two guys. There were three guys in her in the whole thing, and I pointed that out to her later. I said, what is it about improv and, American comedy in general that is so sexist? I said, okay, three guys and you. And I said, and I bet that's generally the ratio all the way around. And it is. And even if you look at something like Saturday Night Live, they might have on the cast as many men as women. But you get the impression the writers are overwhelmingly male, right?
No, I would think so.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that's about, frankly.
And I think the women are funnier.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but I sure know women are every bit as capable of being funny, and some of the funniest people I know are women, so I'm not sure what that's about.
And I would like to point out that Saturday Night Live isn't funny.
I haven't watched it for years, so I don't know.
Every time,
Susan, you're an old
on a
fart.
Saturday night, if my husband turns on the TV and it pauses there for more than 3 seconds, I'm just constantly amazed. It's, except for a few good political bits, it's just, blah.
Yeah. Well, okay, one more Chicago story, then I'll stop. By the way, I love Chicago. What a great city.
Isn't it one of the most beautiful cities ever?
It really is. It's one of the most beautiful cities ever. It's got everything that you could ever want in a very big city. I mean, all the positives. And then has, like Pittsburgh also does, this sense of neighborhoods, and it's very walkable, and they have relatively okay public transit. Not great, but relatively okay. And they have that incredible lake, which is essentially an inland ocean, as my brother pointed out. You have that unbelievable Michigan, which looks like the ocean.
It looks and behaves like an ocean.
Like an ocean. And so, you have beaches. I mean, beautiful white sand beaches all the way. You're downtown. You're a block away from a sand beach. You're a block away from amazing museums. I mean, I think the place is incredible. Incredible. Okay, so I decided I didn't want to get stuck in traffic going from O'Hare to into the city. So your daughter told me how to get on the train, which I hadn't done before, from O'Hare. And so I did. And while I'm on the train, which is very full, at maybe the 5th, 6th stop, a guy gets on, and he announces to the very full car, "Could I have your attention, please? My name is Javon Luttrell Dyer Sr. I have done time." Well, he got my attention. I mean, I'm looking at this guy. He had an amazing voice. He was this large man, and he commanded attention. And when he said, the first thing he says is, "I've done time," I thought, where's this going? And where it was going was, he has been out for some time, but it's increasingly difficult, as you all know, to find employment. I am desperate to find a good job. I will never steal again. I have with me my resume If anyone here could possibly help me get a job, I would really appreciate that. I'm also, he was very eloquent, and he was also attempting to get enough money initially so he could get a monthly bus train pass. He said, blah, 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 blah. So he said, if any of you could help, I would be so grateful. And then he just started to sort of wander around, seeing if anybody would give him any help. Of course, the whole time he's doing this, everyone on the train is looking at their feet. So I thought, so all the seasoned riders are saying, this is a scam. I ain't falling for it. Forget this. I, meanwhile, being the rube from Pittsburgh, thought, that was really impressive. Even if it's a scam, that was really impressive.
At least he's working for it.
Yeah, I was so impressed. So I sort of waved him toward me, and I said, could I have one of your resumes? And he handed it over to me, and I said, I'm sorry I can't help you with a job. And I said, but here, and I gave him like $2. I said, if this helps get you to, getting the, and he said, thank you so very much. Well, anyway, I looked at the resume's very interesting, and I've been thinking just to, of course, all the relatives, when I told them I'd done this, said I'd been had. And I said, well, aren't you a bunch of, cynics? How is anybody so? What if, on the odd chance, that guy was telling the truth? I thought what he did was wonderful. And I could very easily check this. He's left me his, I'll check. I got a phone number. I got an email. So what do you think? So then I said, I think I'll just email him. And they all said, oh, no, don't do that. And I said, what is going on with you? What is with people that they live in such a state of terror now? Susan, give me one good reason why it would be stupid to email this guy and say, just to get a sense of what he did time for or anything. What?
I don't see any reason not to do it.
So if I email him, that seems to be a sense that then he could, what?
Email you back.
Yeah. Although that could mean then he could sort of find me. So you think he'll come. I mean, what level of terror do Americans now live in for no particularly good reason?
The other side of that story is that people are, endangered by scams and scammers, and you think that you're being smart, and you're not. I mean, and there's been a lot of stories about people that have been physically threatened and invaded by people that, for example, initially contacted them over the telephone.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not totally unreasonable, but to give up, to go to that zero-tolerance place, that place where there is no critical thinking, that place where if you speak in public, therefore you are, and no, I think you're right.
Well, when you look at his resume, so for 9 years he held down a custodial job, and he said he was also did some general sales for something called Streetwise Chicago. I don't know. Was trusted with handling cash, it says. Responsible for facility maintenance, including cleaning floors and bathrooms. Then he went to some transnational bank card sales and custodial maintenance. Then he went to Twins Toys, wholesale. Actually, some of these he held concurrently, so he's working 2 jobs: janitor, and operating forklift. And the most recent thing was he was part of a mentor program by an outreach program at the University of Chicago to promote wellness among older residents. Who knows? That might have been some. That's it. This resume looks so real to me. Why would a scammer go to this unless if he's smart enough to put together that much of wow, then somebody should give him a job.
Well, right.
Anyway, so that's Javon Luttrell Dyer Sr., who right off the bat says, I did time. He has a high school diploma from Chicago Vocational High. Okay. Now, you want to hear the rest of the story? So then when I got on the train after the Gay Pride Parade, I escaped onto the train to go to back to O'Hare, to come back to Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And I'd say about the 5th or 6th stop in, some guy comes on the car and says, "May I have your attention, please?" However, Susan,
this guy wasn't as good.
He wasn't anywhere near good. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have listened. I would never, even the first time around, have given him the time of day. He was, first of all, asking for money. That's all he was doing. He wanted money. He seemed like not right. You know, he might have been a little high or drunk. And I wouldn't have given him a penny. But a woman seated near me did give him a buck. So, whatever. I still believe in Javon Latrell Dyer Sr.
Well, the fact that people get on, public transport and do that is not unusual. It happens all the time.
It must.
But that particular person was compelling.
Totally.
I don't give money to every person that I pass on the street asking for money, but I have frequently given money.
No, I know. You once, something you did sticks in my mind, and it's one of the reasons that I often do give money, because we were, God, I swear, I think we were coming from Stephen Rubin's second wedding or something. Yeah. So we were in Chicago again, and we stopped at a gas station. And somebody came up to you, panhandler, and asked you for money. And you gave him some. And I got on you. I said, I've been told you're not supposed to do that because all he's going to do is he's going to go buy some drugs with it, and he's going to blah, blah, blah. And if you want to do anything, you give him a voucher for some food. And you just sort of looked at me like, look, if somebody gets to the point where this is what they're reduced to, walking up to strangers and asking for money, I have some money, I'm going to give them a buck. And I thought, that makes sense.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you even remember that?
I do vaguely remember that.
Uh-huh. Here's some emails we need to catch up on here. Barbara says, "Hi, Lynn and Susan. There's been a spike in the..." I saw that. That was a front page New York Times today. There's a spike in the homicide rate in Chicago attributed to gang activity. Big spike. And in fact, people being accosted even on Michigan Avenue. Susan.
No, it's scary. There are flash mobs that
it's not
attack
really called
people, and it's scary. And believe me, people who live there are scared.
Okay. And it says, she says, whatever the reason, Chicago has seen a spike in its homicide rate, with 8 killed and at least 35 wounded in a spasm of gunfire last weekend alone. That is, it is authorities scrambling to put more police on the street and some frightened residents retreating into their homes. To be, this is mostly black on black. I'm quite sure. However, again,
the shootings are black on black.
Yeah.
The robberies
right.
and stuff on Michigan Avenue are not.
No, those would be robberies. To be sure, the violence is nowhere near its historical peak of the early 1990s, when Chicago recorded roughly 900 homicides per year. But from January 1 through late May, there were 203 homicides there, which is more than a 50% increase. Well,
but that's because it wasn't 30 below with 50-mile-an-hour winds in Chicago this winter, and they had the same mild winter as everybody else, and everybody wasn't holed up all winter. And they're freely saying that's why that happened.
Barbara also writes, I remember, by the way, a discussion from many, many years ago when you were discussing making panhandling a crime. How things change. Well, yeah, because I sometimes feel accosted by, I do. Who likes being...
It's distasteful.
It's distasteful.
It's distasteful to be confronted by people who are brought that low.
And also because you do feel, I don't know, it never makes you
frequently.
It never makes you feel good. Let's just put it that way. It never makes you feel good. It can make you feel vulnerable, make you feel threatened, make you feel guilty, make you feel unhappy, make you feel angry because why is the world like it is? I mean, you could go off on it. There's no way. And so, yeah, I completely understand people's reaction of, to have them go away so I don't have to think about such things, right? That's really, I think, more of it. And here's Dan. He wants to know, what's the impeachment process for Supreme Court justices? Scalia has jumped the shark. You could you could impeach.
Well, remember when we were kids, there was the impeach Warren movement?
Yeah. I don't think any Supreme Court justice has ever been impeached.
No.
And it won't happen now.
And I honestly, I don't know this, and I don't know the answer to the question.
How it happens.
But I can tell you that if there is one, it's pretty high because they want the judges to feel safe from threat.
Right.
It's a lifetime job.
I seem to recall not too long ago there was a federal judge impeached. He was impeached by, the final process was like the president. He was impeached by he was convicted by the Senate, United States Senate. Quite sure. But I can't quite remember.
Well, then that's the process.
And I think I'm not as, Dan doesn't say exactly what it is the jumping the shark action was for Scalia, but I do know that in one of his dissents yesterday or something, he actually clearly just goes off on a sidebar, total political talking points, referring to Obama's easing up on the immigration, on kids who had been brought here.
on the children, right?
And it's clearly, it has nothing to do with the case at hand. It had to do with a slap at Barack Obama. And I saw somebody else say in regard to this little detour that Scalia took, what the heck is he doing? Is he auditioning for a talk show on Fox? And you know what? That's really where he should be. He has become so political, overtly so political.
Well, it really it's tragic because the Supreme Court really needs to maintain a sense of honor about themselves and of justice about themselves. I mean, otherwise, I'm trying to say the problem that we've got in this country today is that none of us anymore feel like it's appropriate to have faith in our institutions because the frailty of man has really knocked all of them off their keisters.
Well, if you stop and think about it, it's not all that different than what I was talking about with the reactions to the guy who got on the... We have no faith in our fellow man. We
don't even see our fellow man anymore.
But our default position is distrust, mistrust. Somebody does a good deed, the reaction so often is not, oh, how wonderful. It's, why did they do that? And it's maybe the assumption that there's something going on here. It's not what it appears to be. There is such cynicism and such there's such absolute lack of generosity of spirit, of giving people the benefit of the doubt or a break. And ask where that comes from. Well, it has to come out of the popular culture. You're looking around for who to blame, and I don't know. But media certainly is what creates our sense of our environment in large part, even more than our own experience these days, I think. Because a lot of the people who are scared out of their minds have never themselves been in a scary situation where somebody has threatened them, let's say, right? But they live in fear. Why?
I don't know. And I, on the other hand, have been held up at very close gunpoint.
Right.
And I don't live my life that way.
That's right. Susan has been one who has had a gun stuck in her face. And I know my friend Tony has had a gun stuck in the back of her head for some time with real threats going on. And she doesn't live her life in terror.
No, my reaction to that thing was total anger. That was the time that I was most grateful that I didn't own a gun because I would have killed someone.
Right. I bet. Well, I'll tell you what, Suze. Shall we take a break?
Sure.
And when I come back, a more uplifting story about a panhandler. Okay?
Okay.
It's better than fecal transplants.
I like fecal transplants.
Yeah, I actually do, and it isn't better than fecal transplants. But what the heck, that's a story that only comes around once in a million years. Anyway, we'll be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Pittsburgh City Paper is seeking 10 local artists to design their own street box for a public art project to be featured throughout the city of Pittsburgh. Go to pghcitypaper.com and click on the Art Box link for more details. The Pittsburgh City Paper Art Box Project, brought to you by McDonald's.
Two in the City and Hosanna House Summer Nights present Jazz Under the Stars, starring Najee, Friday, July 13th. 8 p.m. at the Sherwood Event Center in Wilkinsburg. Tickets available at Dorsey's, Stediford's, or charge by phone at 1-800-383-5760. Najee, live in concert July 13th. Proceeds benefit Hosanna House, a place called Hope.
BergBargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, Symphony, History Museum, and the Carnegie Museums. Check out this week's big deal featuring 50% off tickets to En Vogue at Heinz Hall on June 29th. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. BergBargains.com.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And at the end of the day, the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. So United Way is asking you to make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Be a reader, tutor, or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge now at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, welcome back. And Susan, this was in one of the local newspapers, but I missed it. And I think... Oh, we've got a call? Okay. Let's hope we don't get that horrible screech. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It's PJ from Greensburg, I guess.
Hi, PJ.
Did you see the Colbert Report last night?
No, I did not.
A couple things happened last night because I had trouble sleeping, so I saw a couple things that touch on exactly what you're talking about. But he did, he does this segment called The Word or something like that.
Yes.
Where he starts off with a phrase and then builds a story behind it. But the gist of his thing last night was that, and he aimed it at the Republicans and the conservatives, but he was saying that no matter how good... he started off by saying, some states are making a turnaround, but the Republican governors are having a hard time because they can't admit that things are turning around, because as long as they do, it makes things look good.
That's right. It's true.
And it's the same kind of thing that you guys just talked about. You transitioned from talking about the Supreme Court into... why is everybody so feared and in fear and bothered? And
Right.
The other thing I heard last night, I was up late listening, and Essential Public Radio, the 90.5, the local public radio station, plays the BBC at night, and they did a story about the Supreme Court and how they actually, I think they used the phrase freakish. What a freakish way to govern, to run a government, in describing our Supreme Court, because it is so polarized and so deadlocked, and it's either super polarized or it slants so far to one side. And they talked about Justice Kennedy. It's down to one vote now.
It's down to the most powerful man in America is Justice Kennedy.
Exactly. So, and they had a gentleman on who's from the U.S. and he has put forth a thing to put in 19.
He wants to pack the court.
Well, he wants to make 19 Supreme Court justices.
That's packing the court. It ain't going to happen, and I think getting rid of life terms will not happen. Although it seems to me you could give them like a 20-year term or something. We have now justices serving. When justices, people didn't regularly serve for like 50 years, which is what they're going to be doing now. And it was Bush that started putting these unbelievably young people, both Bushes. Clarence Thomas, how old was he when he was put on the court? And Alito and Roberts, my God, being made Chief Justice at the age of what, 10? How old was he?
He was young. Yeah. That was the other thing he talked about. There were term limits, there was an age limitation, just putting more justices in, and then the other one was revolving them through the using other justices and just doing revolving them from
right.
What's the court just below the Supreme Court,
the appeals court. What's Susan?
Yeah.
What's the court below the Supreme Court? The Federal Appeals
Court of Appeals.
Court of Appeals.
That was his other, was to revolve. But so anyway, I'll make it quick. But so you transition from that into why is everybody so violent crime and property crime has been on the decrease and continues to decrease.
Very much so. Yes.
There are little spikes.
So Chicago is
that go up, but it has continued, and it really is that thing that Colbert talked about. If people aren't afraid in some way, shape, or form, they can't be as easily controlled.
That is correct.
Naomi Klein wrote that book called The Shock Doctrine.
Mm-hmm. This is absolutely true.
It's that exact idea.
Right. That's
right. You create a false sense of a problem, and then you can push through really radical solutions for it that don't need to be there in the first place.
Exactly.
Well, the voter suppression rules that are
exactly.
being put through is a perfect example.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you, the Republicans are masters of this stuff, creating fear, stoking fear, and then, creating legislative responses to the fear that is largely unnecessary, made up of a totally blown-up problem. So, hey, thanks.
Okay,
good
we'll
call.
See you.
Bye, PJ. Okay, so the story here is about the Animal Rescue League, which is one of the shelters here, receiving a letter postmarked from Israel, no return address, no name, and the letter it had $35 in it, and the letter said, about 1 year ago, I stood on Murray Avenue in Squirrel Hill collecting money. I was broke and needed to eat, so I collected money under the name of the Animal Rescue League. Really, it was charity fraud. And then he just signed it, a man trying to improve his life. So he sent back the money, which he said was what he had collected. That's pretty moving, isn't it?
Well, it just tells people are desperate out there.
And not
necessarily bad or scary, just hungry and scared and desperate.
Right.
And so, that night long ago in Chicago, what I was saying to you is, I'm a very lucky woman.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And
that's what you were saying. Exactly.
Right. I don't need that dollar. If that person needs that dollar, give them the dollar.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, okay. So, Freddie writes, I was at the Pride Parade in Chicago this year for the 4th year in a row. Good God, Freddie. And and there was a much more concerted theme of the push for marriage equality. See, I guess I was I couldn't ever get close enough to see a theme of anything except drunken debauchery. That's what I saw. There were a lot more Christian and other religious groups in the parade, and the Grand Marshal was Pittsburgh Alderdice High School grad and Freedom to Marry founder Evan Wolfson. Sure. Oh, I didn't know he was. That's cool. It seemed like they tried to make it more than just a party this year. I'm not sure if they succeeded or not. Well, Freddie, just in my little, and granted, I didn't last more than an hour, but what I saw, it was a party. That's all it was. But I did see people, holding stuff, stickers and fans and things that clearly had political stuff on them, and I'm sure there was a lot of good stuff done in that regard. So, God, what a. There was something I wanted to tell you that was speaking of gay marriage. This was in Saturday's New York Times. A guy named David Blankenhorn. You might not know the name. I didn't recognize it. But he's a president and founder of something called the Institute for American Values. He's writer of a very influential book published in 2007 arguing against same-sex marriage called The Future of Marriage. He served as an expert witness against the constitutional challenge to California's Prop 8, which had limited, gay marriage. He has recanted.
Why? Because, let me guess, he's gay and he wants to get married.
No, it's better than that. It's better than that.
How can it be better than that? What? He's gay and he has been married.
He's not gay.
He's got 6 wives.
For once, Susan, your cynicism is not going to carry the day. This is just a total... He says, the time has come for me to accept gay marriage and emphasize the good that it can do. He said that he had long hoped the debate over same-sex marriage would center on parenthood. That's all his thing was. He really thought kids would be better off with a, father and a mother, and that the family, it was a very important institution, blah, blah, blah. He really believed that. And he was not coming at it from a religious perspective or a homophobic perspective. But then he said, but in the public's mind, the same-sex marriage issue, no. He said, but no, wait. I'll stop it, back up. He said that he had long hoped the debate over same-sex marriage would center on parenthood, not private relationships. But that in the public's mind today, the issue was simply about equality. In other words, civil rights. And here's a quote from him. And to my deep regret, much of the opposition to gay marriage seems to stem from an underlying anti-gay animus. To me, a Southerner by birth, whose formative moral experience was the civil rights movement, this fact is profoundly disturbing.
Well, good for him.
See? Totally good. He was trying to argue the whole thing in a
honorable way.
Honorable way, where he really was, where he intellectually was. But he saw that no one was over there with him. All the people standing on supposedly his side were, the more he looked, they looked like the racists that he knew as a child in against civil rights.
It's very, I mean, I've been in battles like that myself, where I find myself taking a position that is counterintuitive to everything that I thought I would be arguing. But when you're where you are and you see the nuance and you see the realities, you have to change what you think. But that doesn't mean that the people out there who don't know the nuance, who don't know the real issues, can interpret your actions. So therefore, the quality of your friends goes way down because all of a sudden they're racist or
right. You look
it
around.
Happens.
No, I know what you're talking about. You look around and nobody gets what you're trying to say, and you find yourself in the wrong company.
Right.
So you can't. You got to leave. Got to leave the room. So Andrew Sullivan, who, as you know, is a pro-gay rights writer, said that he had always felt that Blankenhorn was very different from the others. And he said with this, that feeling is solidified, and that Blankenhorn is, according to Sullivan, perhaps the most clearly decent, intellectually honest, non-homophobic opponent of marriage equality. But he ain't an opponent anymore because he sees it's not about marriage anymore. It's about civil rights.
Right.
So once it's been framed in that way, he has to change positions. Fascinating. And I thought really, really great. Really great. Okay, here's my Idiots of the Week award to the...
it's only Tuesday.
Okay, well, it can always be... You never know what...
A nominee.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
It's a nominee. You're right. It's the Virginia legislature.
Oh, yes.
Do you know about this?
I was waiting for you to bring this up.
Do you know about it has to do with flooding, climate? Oh, no, something else?
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'll tell you mine. You tell me yours.
Well, apparently they're just a gift that keeps on giving. Okay. Apparently, Virginia is on the Atlantic Ocean in part, and the sea levels along Virginia's coastlines have already risen more than a foot. Now, that's big. And even, even Republicans in Virginia have got to acknowledge that we got a problem here. And there's a problem with flooding, constant flooding. What are we going to do about it? Blah, blah, blah. So they did decide that they would fund a study of the growing flooding problem. However, the study was to omit any reference to the words climate change or sea level rise, because those terms are, quote, left-wing terms. Can you top that?
No.
You cannot top that. Nobody could. Susan, what? Republicans, here, this is from This Week magazine. Republicans conceded that flooding is a growing problem, but said there could be no mention of sea level rise because it's a left-wing term.
They leave me speechless.
I know the feeling.
All right, and I was wrong anyway. My little state legislature nugget was not from...
okay, who was it?
Virginia. It was from Tennessee.
Okay, what'd they do?
Because I don't know the incident, but apparently there was a classroom demonstration involving a sex toy someplace, and so Tennessee recently enacted a pro-abstinence sex education law that, among other things, bars educators from promoting, quote, gateway sexual activity.
Like holding hands?
Well, they don't. There's no like. It's just gateway sexual activity.
Gateway sexual.
They wouldn't even talk about what they meant.
Dancing,
hand holding, kissing your mother.
That's true.
I mean, you want to, honestly, that's gateway sexual activity. How do you think you know?
Yeah, and because they're so freaked out about boobs and stuff, how about nursing?
Oh.
How's that not gateway? Especially for the little boys. I mean, they get a good feeling with that nipple in their mouth. Jesus Christ, oh man. Okay, Susan, that's it. I got to take a break.
You're praying again.
Oh, dear God. Oy, oy, oy. Okay. We're taking a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Gustavo and Vela wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vela usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvela@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Vote now. Who will be the chosen one in Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Best of Readers poll and register to win a new iPad? Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay, hi. Welcome back. Hey, Susan, I just got one more. This I got... I hate to even bring it up again, but the poor old lady bus monitor who now is going to be a millionaire. You know about her? Yeah, okay.
People are getting very snarky about her, too, now.
Well, that's maybe what I'm about to do. No,
okay.
I don't think snarky. Okay, so now, people, of course, feeling sorry for her when they're seeing her, just accosted like those disgusting little creeps were doing to her. And so, money's pouring in so she can go on vacation. I think it's up to, $700,000. Probably. It is. That's the last number.
You would think people would stop sending money now that they know how much has been sent.
Yeah, right. But so you got to figure a lot of people who initially were feeling sorry for her now are jealous or envious or thinking, geez. But there was a letter to the editor in USA Today that actually made me think for a minute that I think in the back of my head I had this reaction a little bit too. I wouldn't call it snarky. Here it is. This is from Sue in North Carolina. I read with interest the articles about the bullied bus monitor, and I watched the video. As someone who taught for 38 years, I sympathize with this woman who was treated so badly. However, the simple fact is, she was not doing her job. She's paid to keep order on the bus. One of her main responsibilities is to maintain discipline and to communicate behavior problems to her bosses. Why were these students not reported to her supervisor and then to their parents? Being a bus monitor is a difficult job, but this woman wasn't doing it.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't disagree with that either.
No.
I mean, I didn't understand why she didn't stand up. That wasn't, but, I'm just, given that this happened.
Yes. I mean,
now people are saying, well, you need to give all that money away.
No. Oh,
You should establish a bullying program.
Oh, no.
You should,
and
no. And she was on the Today Show yesterday and being interviewed, and when they asked if she were going to give some to charity, she said yeah, and then she laughed and pointed a finger at her daughter.
Uh-huh.
And, and making a tease that her daughter's ready to get some charity, that's for sure. And I'm reading today that, it's like snarky comments about how she wouldn't even share with her daughter. They're all lining up, and I'm going, honestly, people, somebody just handed her unexpectedly all this money. First of all, I'm sure she doesn't know what she's going to do with it. And second of all, it's absolutely none of anybody's business.
That's right.
She didn't ask for it. They gave it to her. Now it's hers. Shut up.
I agree. I totally agree with that. But I also agree with this this letter.
No, I agree that I didn't understand why she didn't stand up and say, you, and you, I got your names. You're going straight to the principal. You'll probably be off the bus for the next month.
Right.
That's the job.
Because she didn't appear to be afraid. But she wasn't. Her job is not just to ride on the bus and sit there. And in a case like that, where...
Well, maybe she thought she didn't have the right to protect herself from them, only other students, but I can't believe that. I never did get why she was just sitting there.
Or why she didn't report it. And maybe she was fearful of reporting it because it might cost her job when they think, oh, well, she just doesn't command the respect. Because we need somebody who would never, ever, no one would treat them like that. It could be she was fearful of, because my guess is this is not the first time this has happened. I don't know if people have asked her
and
that.
I got to tell you, four young boys of that age can be scary.
Yeah, right.
In her judgment, maybe the safest thing for her to do was just to sit there and take it. You don't know that either.
Right.
Well brought up suburban boys and girls.
Oh dear. So okay, but I somehow in all of this I don't know that had been noted, and it's true. What's she getting paid for?
That said, young children can be unbelievably cruel, even nice ones.
Disgusting.
Everybody's hopping on these awful, terrible boys, and they were awful, terrible boys at that moment. But, we don't know anything about it. They might come from very nice homes, and they might have been brought up just great, and this was just a male, excuse the term, pissing contest with that poor woman, as it's unfortunate, but it really didn't have anything to do with her.
Do you think for a minute that either your son or mine would engage in that behavior ever?
Absolutely not. And having said that, I will tell you that when asked that question several times when he was a little boy or she was a little girl, your son did this, and I would say, not my kid, and guess what?
Not.
I was wrong.
Oh. You mean he did
he wasn't doing that. He was swearing. And got tattled, and I said, my child wouldn't do that.
Oh, well, I know my child would do that, but I'm saying...
Because he was watching Back to the Future.
Right, but no, cruel behavior. That says something about a person's
my children were not cruel.
Your son is a sweet human being. My son is a sweet human being. There's a lot of other things I can say that aren't necessarily, top notch, but sweet, he's got a good heart, would never... ever. It's like, that thing about Romney bullying.
Right.
I think bullies, whatever their age, it's saying something about them. I'll give, under the age of, 8, I'll give them a pass. But after a while...
No, I don't give them a pass even when they're little. Under the age of 8 that's when you catch the behavior and say,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and actually, I will say that my son was the kid that used to go to the aid of the kids that were being bullied.
Right.
I used to hear these stories.
Right. Yeah.
There was a young kid with
that's what
Tourette
you want to hear
in his high school class. His middle school class, the same age as these guys, and that kid was tortured, and Arlie couldn't stand it. He just stand by him.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of behavior you want to see or hear about. That's it. Then you know you got a good guy. Okay, listen to this. Everybody, get a ticket to Sweden. Do you believe this? In Sweden, the average Swedish work week has... Oh, I'm sorry. It's hit a historic high. The Swedes are working harder than they ever have.
What, they're up to 30 hours a week now?
No, they're not up there that high. Highest average Swedish work week ever, 26.2 hours a week. What the hell are they doing?
I don't know. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Well, do the Swedes look unhappy? And they're
no,
and they're
I just don't understand how they're...
Well, everything moves down to everything. I don't know. And the unions there, it says, are up in arms, complaining that the added work hours can affect people's health. Oh, what do they know?
But that's 2.5 hours in the morning and 2.5 hours in the afternoon. I work harder than that, and I'm unemployed. Oh, I'm serious.
Well,
I think I was working from the time I got up to the time I went to bed, and no one paid me anything, but I was actually working all day yesterday.
I don't get it. Okay, and I just give you one more little nugget. This is all from, the Week magazine. This is in Louisiana, St. Mary Parish. I believe that was one that was pretty much devastated, wasn't it, during the hurricane?
Right.
I think. Well, they're coming back, but talk about idiots in government or malfeasance all the way around. They just built a $3 million Convention and Visitors Bureau, which just shows that things are, getting better in St. Mary's Parish. And unfortunately, the building has sunk 5 feet into the ground and, quote, cracked like an egg. It was built on a swamp. How the hell? How do you build on a swamp? I mean, there must have known it was a swamp. Big shock. It sunk. God, there's good use of taxpayer dollars. Okay, well, Suze, that's it.
That's it?
Wait, yeah, I think it's it. What do you mean, that's it?
Okay, no, I was just asking. I was just renewing my subscription to the Week.
Yeah, no, there's always good little tidbits in there.
I need an alternative to the you-know-what.
Yeah, stop looking at that, Susan. Stop. It's you got to stop it. She's looking at this crap Rupert Murdoch online crapola thing. Don't.
Oh, it makes me so mad. It just makes me so mad.
Don't. Well, it's insane. You become part of the, don't do it. Okay. And if anybody bumps into Javon Luttrell Dyer Sr., give
him a job.
Give him a job. I think he's a good guy. I do.
Yeah.
Okay,
bye.
Bye, Suze. We'll be back tomorrow. Chris Potter in tow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.